I'm happy to be back and talk to the people of Nelson County and Marion and anywhere else that would like to listen to us today. I am Dixie Hibbs, and I want to talk to you about the history of bourbon making in Nelson County. I am a historian, and as a historian, I'm always looking for information to add to the stories that we already know. And in 1896, this little publication here was put out by the local newspaper, the Nelson County Record, and it's called a supplement. It's called an Illustrated Historical Industrial Supplement. This one dealt with important people, but it also took in all of the 26 distilleries that were here in 1896. And it was written in a first-person form because the editor, Samuel Carpenter Elliott, had been a government man at the distilleries. He was the one, the storekeeper gauger, we called them. He was the one who made sure that the taxes were paid on the whiskey when it was stored, when it was taken out of storage, and kept up with that. So he had been to many, many of these distilleries and knew the people who worked there, the distiller and others who worked there. So his account in this book, very small print, but this is the type of thing that was written that is really the best account we have of bourbon making in Nelson County. I took this information and I took a series of maps. The Sanborn Map Company was created to make maps of communities and industries, buildings of importance for the insurance companies. Now, why would you want the insurance company to need a map? Well, the maps tell what type of material the building is, whether it's wood, stone, or brick. It tells how many floors they had, what was used for. If it was a bakery where it would have ovens, that would be one thing an insurance company would want to know, how much fire would be there. And in the case of the story I put together with the maps in this supplement, it dealt with distilleries. And the distilleries had different buildings, and we're going to be looking at those, but it would say red would be brick, blue would be stone, and yellow is frame. So just looking at the map, you could tell immediately this was a frame building that was 1 story high that held the mash tubs or held the actual still, and it gave you a lot of information just looking at the map. Now, I took this information and my Sanborn map information. Now, my Sanborn maps started in 1886, and I had an 1886 and I had a 1910, which is almost 25 years apart. And, excuse me, more than that. Yes, that's right. And they that let me show a distillery in 1886 and the size of it, and then as it grew, what did it look like 25 years later? So this worked out very well, except when we start looking at the book, you'll understand my dilemma, because some of the maps were long, and my book is 8.5 by 11. How do I get a long map in this book? And that's one of the things we're going to show you here in a minute when we look at the book. The other thing I wanted to do was to invite you to learn more about the whiskey history of not only Nelson County, but of Kentucky. Every year at Bourbon Festival time, we at Wickland put on a program called A Half a Pint of Whiskey History and a Shot of Humor. Now, this is educational, but it's also entertaining because I have researched a lot about the different things that have happened from the 1780s all the way up. Different cases where people were accused of stealing whiskey from the old log warehouses in 1810 and 12. Also, Prohibition, some of the stories that came out of that, and a little bit about the men and women who truly were the families that are creating this industry that we are so proud of. Now, we do a lecture and we do a luncheon. Now, our luncheon is foods. Most of them have a little bit of whiskey flavoring, or we have maybe one of the bourbon barbecue sauces you can put on your pulled pork barbecue and things like that. We do this at Wickland on the 18th of September, which is a Thursday. We will be having it at 12 o'clock. You must make reservations because we have to prepare food, and you know, in your own household, if somebody shows up you didn't plan on, your food gets a little short there. But we will be taking reservations right up to the day before, and how you make a reservation for this is you call me at 502-507-0808, and it's $25, includes your lecture, storytelling, a visit with the house, and the meal. It's a casual meal. You don't have to dress up for it. If you want to come and bring your guests that might be here for the Bourbon Festival, or just your interest in the bourbon industry here. If you enjoy our program today, you will enjoy our half a pint of whiskey history with a shot of humor. Now, I'd like to have you come over, and we're going to look in this book.